Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome in to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Huddle up! We are definitely more in sync than the Chicago Bears. I am wearing my 57 jersey. I wish I was on the 57th episode for this, but I do appreciate Bob for filling in. I listened to the show, unfortunately not in Punta Cana. I listened to it when I got back, but just as good listening to it a week later. I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I was back in Punta Cana after what happened today.
Man, it's been rough, man, and I don't think it's going to get better starting next week, so we can get into that a little bit. But episode 58, you alluded to the fact that you missed 57. We got a lot of choices.
I think there's really
not giving it to Darnell Wright.
No.
He hasn't earned that yet.
No.
What do you want to go with?
Wilbur Marshall?
I thought you'd say Roquan.
I mean, our generation,
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Roquan, yeah.
So Roquan.
But he left on ill terms. I mean, but
Yeah.
I guess
So did
Wilbur Marshall.
So did Wilbur Marshall of a different era.
That's true.
So now we know what's going to happen to Darnell Wright in a few years.
Yeah. As always, I'm Rob Schwartz. You can catch my content at Bear Goggles On. And always with me is my good buddy and co-host, Justin Onayemi.
Yep. Oh, boy. All right. Well, what do we do? How do we go through this?
I mean, okay. Before we get into it, hit as bad as the Bears are, please hit the subscribe button. We're going to be here all season. We're going to be
Maybe.
I almost was going to say, guess what? The show's canceled. We're done. Screw the Bears. I'm going to be a Miami Dolphins fan again.
Wow. Well, I think Mitch and Jim might. Are they on suicide watch?
I haven't heard from them.
Those guys, I mean.
I know they use a flip phone, so it's hard for me to get a hold of them
True.
when I'm out of the country.
Our super huddlers, man. I don't know if they're going to be back anytime soon.
I don't think so either. But yeah, so it's going to be a rough season because they're already 0-2. I was trying to be positive, which is very unique for me. Very unique for me. I think it was because I didn't watch the Packers game live. It was a lot easier for me to not have the emotion that fell with it. Like, I was in Punta Cana. I had followed along with what is going on with group chats and Twitter or X, whatever the hell we want to call it nowadays. And it was frustrating, obviously, but I was also in the mindset of, look, it's one game. They won that game last year. They still only finished 3-14. Now they lose that game. Does it really make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things? Can they come back? We watched the Lions go 1-6 and then basically win out the season and go 9-8. I was trying to stay positive. And I wasn't trying to spin it oh, they played well or anything like that. But was this rust because they barely played in the preseason? Now we're in week 2 and we're still seeing problems.
So we're going to get into it on the show, but my issue, similar to you is, one game, now it's 2 games. You're going up against the defending Super Bowl champs next week, so you could easily be 0-3.
0-3.
But my issue is this, we're going to talk about Fields and what his future and outlook looks like. He's part of the problem, but he's part of the problem. There are so many problems on this team, and I know you like polls, I like polls, but almost from player 53 on the roster all the way up to the GM, there are questions now. And so when you think about, of course, Fields becomes the main focus because he's quarterback 1. I could see a scenario, it's looking more and more likely each week, where you're moving on from him next year. But if you're moving on from Fields, are you also moving on from Eberflus? Are you moving on from Getsy? There's a lot that doesn't look good right now. I mean, like I said, Fields is to blame for so much, but late in the game, 3rd and 8 maybe, Fields actually threw the ball well-timed I didn't know who he was throwing to because Kmet and Moore ran the
Ran
same route. Moore
Oh.
was the one getting ready to catch a first down, and Kmet makes a great defensive play and defends it from him. But is that bad scheme by Getsy? Is his scheme too complicated where the receivers don't know what the hell they're doing? But either way, that's a full disaster on display. And when you look at Fields' actual numbers, completion rate, and things like that, it's been better.
Yeah. Well,
but he's checking down all the time, not finding anyone in rhythm. The only drive that ever looks good is their scripted one.
The scripted one. And he didn't check down as much today.
No,
he did
right.
He did push the ball downfield a little bit more. I want to wait to talk about Fields, but before we do, hit the subscribe button. We are, I keep putting it up here. We are giving away a free Bears jersey. I know Justin and Bob joked about it last week. Maybe, by the time we hit 750, you might know what number
13,
Caleb Williams is going to
13.
want. And I love the number 13. It's my favorite number.
Too.
So if we can, get a number 13 jersey, put Williams on the back, and yeah, I mean that
manifested into happening.
That's right.
It's hard for me to talk about that because I really like Fields.
I love Fields. I love his mindset. I love the passion, his work
tools.
ethic.
I mean, he has the tools too.
Correct. This isn't a Mitch Trubisky situation, but I got to say, comparing the two, it's really not much better. As athletic as he is, as how he can put the game on his legs, on his shoulders, it's just.
Did you see any of his athleticism today?
No, maybe on the rollout to get the
head.
first.
He's in his own head, which I again put back on the coaching staff.
Yes,
we talked about how we didn't want him to go for 1,000 yards this year rushing. That didn't mean we don't want to see him run.
Right. He had more yards last week with one designed run, and it was a horrible quarterback
way
draw
late in the game.
Right, and then he had 2 this game.
Bad designs.
And outside of the touchdown, that was it.
True. So we'll talk about Fields and the confidence meter. That's probably going to be a weekly fixture. Do we go through kind of the game, just drive by drive? Not every drive, but some of the big ones. I mean, again, pivotal players, pivotal plays again, maybe.
Yeah, let's start right in the beginning. The defense. Okay, let's. I'm going to start with the defense because how do you let the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Rachaad White just run all over you again? It was so frustrating. Third downs. They had 2 third and longs. I think one was a 3rd and 12. Couldn't get off the field. Just couldn't get off the field. It's very frustrating to watch. Now we got Eddie Jackson out apparently with a foot injury. I don't know if it's the same foot, but that's not a good sign. He missed at least close to half the season last year. I don't even know where to start.
Okay, I'm surprised you went to the defense because let me say this.
I went to the defense because they had the ball first, right?
Yeah. I get that. But overall, the defense I felt played decent, especially you start the game with no Kyler Gordon. But very early on, you got no Kyler Gordon.
No Joshua Blackwell.
Well, and no Blackwell, right. So you're already 2 behind in the secondary. Then you lose Brisker. Then you lose Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
And it could have easily gone real bad for them.
This is how bad it is. There was a play. I'm not going to get into the details of the play yet because it's going to come up. There was a play where there was number 26. I had to write 26 Johnson in parentheses. I didn't know who it was. It wasn't on my sheet from my player sheet. I had to go and look at the depth chart. UDFA, Quindell Johnson.
Yeah.
No idea. Didn't click with me.
And Elijah Hicks was in there making some bad plays. Yeah. And I mean, 26 had a terrible route to the tackle on Evans. Instead of going to the inside, he goes back to the outside thinking he could make the angle. I don't even understand what he was doing. It's terrible. It was terrible. First drive, though. I mean, it was good that they held them to 3 after all they went through. But right away, I knew something I'd be tracking was 3rd down conversions. And on the first drive, Tampa was able to convert 2 out of the 3, which is why they held them to a field goal.
Right.
Now, there was a play. where the ball came out. And
Yep.
I was thinking, hey, should this have been a challenge? And going into the game, we knew Alan Williams was dealing with a personal issue and didn't make the trip to Tampa. So Eberflus was going to be calling the defense. Obviously, he has experience doing that. I wasn't so concerned with that, but I was wondering, would he be able to still do all the things a head coach has to do?
Right.
And I wonder that challenge. Now, Fox had terrible coverage because they didn't really show us the replay. So I don't know if it was worthy of a challenge. And I did catch just like 1 or 2 minutes of Eberflus after the game. And he said they thought forward progress had been halted or something, and it wasn't worth a challenge. So it sounds like he knew not to challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if you had a take on that.
I didn't. I mean, obviously the players were shouting that the ball came out. At that point, I'm considering throwing a flag. Clearly, they have better angles and views than what we got with the televised broadcast, because, like you said, they didn't even they mentioned it briefly.
Well,
and
they had Pam Oliver. They were getting ready to go to a Pam Oliver one-on-one on the whatever. You don't go to that if a play is critical.
Right.
It was awkward. So I didn't know. But anyway, they held him to 3.
There was also, just to talk about the broadcast screwing up, there was also, I think it was in the third quarter, Braxton Jones had a false start penalty, and they put face mask on the screen.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
But this is what happens when you're bad. You start to get the C and D grade.
Daryl Johnson.
Yeah.
I don't even remember
he
who
used
the
to
other
be
guy
on their
is.
higher. Daryl Johnson?
No. I don't know who the other guy was with. Yeah.
I don't know who that was. So, but then Bears give up 3.
Yeah.
The offense answers.
Scripted drive.
Good. Scripted drive. Only took 3 minutes. March down the field. Touchdown. First play.
DJ Moore.
Well, and Herbert picked up the blitz. I was worried coming to this game. Yeah. Tampa Bay blitzed Minnesota 44% of the time. That is, I think it was the highest in the league. But I was worried with the line as bad as it's been. Then you're missing Nate Davis.
Right.
Who knows what we were going to expect. Now, I don't think they blitzed at that kind of clip this time. But the Bears picked it up pretty well, I thought, at times. And that was an example. Herbert picks up the blitz. You go to DJ Moore. You heard the show last week. I asked, do the Bears know they have DJ Moore? Do they know? In watching it a second time, I realized maybe Fields had missed him a few times. But it was a point of emphasis. He caught 2 balls, I believe, on that drive. And I wrote, Moore is on the team, in exclamation points. Bears converted on a 3rd down on a beautiful throw to Moore. And that was the thing I was telling my son, almost all his catches are first downs.
And it's every time he gets the ball in his hands, he moves the ball forward, right? North and south. He'll gain another 2-3 yards, if not more.
Right.
More. Every time he touches the ball. It's it's frustrating. And I know today he had a good game. 6 catches, 104 yards, right? He was probably, if I had to, I think Justin Fields finished with 211. So he was almost half of Justin Fields' yards. I don't even know what to say or do with this team anymore. All I want to do, our intro said that we decided we're going to talk into a microphone instead of yell at the television. My 9-year-old son comes up to me today and he's like, Dad, I thought you weren't yelling at the TV anymore. Because that's all I did today. It was just yell at the television. It was every time I turn around, somebody was doing something wrong. I'm really frustrated with this Matt Eberflus coached team. I liked the philosophy. I liked the, let's get into the details. Let's make sure that we're, doing what we're supposed to do, making sure we're doing our assignments, the intensity, the hustle, but we're not seeing it on the field. Are they not buying in? Do they not trust him as a coach already? Are we looking at Mark Trestman territory?
I don't know, because like you said, the hits principle, all that stuff, that all sounds cheesy unless it actually comes out.
Right.
But you watch almost any other game. I mean, that's the point I'm at, is I wasn't yelling at the TV. I'm just used to this at this point.
Yeah.
And you watch any other game, it doesn't matter, less experienced quarterbacks, more experienced quarterbacks, new coaches, all that. Things just look crisper.
And the game plan looked better this week than last week. But there were still, you mentioned it, the routes where they ran the same route. One of them had to have been wrong, or Luke Getsy is the worst offensive coordinator in the world. Because I'll tell you right now, my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old, and I guarantee I know that your 16-year-old, can draw better plays on Madden than any of what's going on out there in Chicago or on the road when Chicago's playing. Like it's mind-boggling to watch this over and over and over again.
I don't like to bring up old regimes that often, but one of the knocks back when Bears had Nagy was that his system was too complex almost.
Yeah.
And you watch Chase Claypool come in mid-season last year and never pick up what he was supposed to do. Is Getsy known for having an overly complex system? Is that part of this?
I mean, he's new.
Because
we don't know.
Make it easier, simplify it, and get good at that, and then add the wrinkles.
Jordan Love.
There's no foundation right now. There's no foundation to begin off of.
Jordan Love has 6 touchdown throws already. 3 last week against Chicago and another 3 today. They ended up losing the game. But Matt LaFleur, I was blanking on his name. Matt LaFleur is making the game simpler. They don't have a good wide receiver core up there.
I think they have a better O-line.
They do have a much better O-line, but they're making it simpler. And there are many times where I'm watching Justin Fields have time, and I'm like counting in my head, get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball, get rid of the ball. And then it's like he tries to move, and it's the worst decision ever. Like, he's not even making a move to run. He is trying to step up in the pocket, but it's like you're stepping into where the guys are.
One of the plays was 3rd and 2, and Claypool goes in motion to the right and then runs 2 yards down the field and is just standing wide open.
Yeah.
And Fields is looking at him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, throw it, throw it, throw it. And then he finally throws it as he's getting hit. He didn't need to take a hit. I think he was hit. But he throws it high. Claypool gets one hand on it. I pictured it getting tipped for an interception.
Yeah,
luckily
almost,
it lands.
there was no one directly behind.
And they ended up, I forget how, because I thought it was 3rd down and 2. Maybe it was 2nd and 2. Because they ended up, it didn't matter because they ended up converting or something. But what was he doing? Fields is in his own head, I feel like. They've made him overthink to the point where now running isn't his instinct, which I know he doesn't want to be called a running back as a quarterback.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't want that. And he says, I think of myself as a passer. Yep. But he also says, I'm going to do what it takes to win. And now he's in his own head. There are times when he should be escaping where he isn't.
Yep.
And then he's holding the ball too long, even on throws that just need to be delivered. Yep. And it's like, I'd rather see him throw interceptions on well-timed throws where the defense just makes a hell of a play than him thinking he has to always make the perfect throw.
He brought this team, or helped bring this team, within 3 very late in the game, right? I think there was 3-4 minutes left, almost getting into 2-minute warning territory. I think there was 7 minutes left after they scored, and then Tampa just kept running the ball to get it down to almost 2-minute territory, right? And he went 6 for 6. And the touchdown throw to Chase Claypool, I mean,
that was a dime.
Darted it between basically
at least double coverage.
It was cover 3. I mean, it was 2 guys basically there, but it was a cover 3 scheme. It was a great throw, great catch by Claypool. And I'm going to sit here right now and tell you, Claypool didn't have the best game today, but he showed up after looking really, really bad last week.
He had key blocks in 2 big plays for Herbert.
Yes.
He caught the ball when it was thrown to him for the most part, and he had that touchdown catch.
He probably should have caught the ball that got intercepted.
And it wasn't ruled an interception.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, the guy didn't really have the ball. He bobbled it and then went to the ground. He ended up getting no feet in. But yes, he should have pulled that down. But I'm glad Fields threw it.
Yeah. Because
these are the types of throws you just have to say, Claypool, you need to win this ball.
Right.
Moore, you need to win this ball. Mooney, you're not on the team anymore. Did he even get targeted?
I don't think he did. I don't recall seeing him get a ball thrown in his direction, which is crazy to me.
I don't understand.
But yet we can get jet sweeps for Velus.
That play was terrible. They ran a jet sweep to the shallow side of the field, and I'm like, Velus is in the game. The other team must know he's only in to do that.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But that was more than Mooney did the whole game.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming Mooney.
No, Mooney had a great game last week.
I'd have to watch and see.
I'm going to have to rewatch.
I don't know where he was, but this was supposed to be the year where the excuses go away. And the line's supposed to be better. Now, granted, I do think Jenkins being out is huge. Then you're also missing Davis today. But let's not talk about that. That they still should have been fine. And I didn't think the O-line was horrible.
It was much better this week than it was last week.
But you are supposed to have weapons now. DJ Moore is a wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Mooney wasn't quite a 1, but now he doesn't have to be. He's a solid 2. Claypool's a 2/3. You still got Kmet.
Yeah.
Where is it?
There's just no like urgency when I see Justin Fields play when he's trying to throw the ball. It's like, first of all, the center can't seem to get the ball to him quickly. Like, okay, so this past week there was a huge thing, and it started because of JT O'Sullivan talking about it on the QB School when he did the all 22 breakdown last week's game. He talked about how Justin Fields his feet are just slow. So I think his name's Robert Schmidt. I think he's with the Windy City. No, he's with the Bears Bros now, I think. Anyway, he was putting out side-by-side videos of Justin Fields compared to other quarterbacks in the league. Okay, Tua was one of them. He was like little over 2 seconds when Tua was getting it out in like 1.5. Now, Tua gets the ball out much faster than a lot of other people in the league. Okay, so he started looking at other people. It was not too far off from like Josh Allen. But then he pulled up his rookie tape versus his tape against the Packers. And it was a very similar play. And it was like 0.3 of a second faster. It was like 1.8 versus like 2.01. There's like so much indecisiveness. Like you have said, he's in his own head. I don't know. And to me, this goes back to the coaching. It's the offensive coordinator's job to make sure that these plays are put in to get your quarterback confidence, especially early. Do you remember the first preseason game? The very first play was a quick out to the flat Blasing game. And I said, I love this play. It's a quick completion, easy completion, get Justin confidence.
They did that today.
But it reminds me of the Matt Nagy system. It's like you get going, and it's like, then you do stupid shit like the Velus Jones thing, or you go 6 for 6 to put the game within 3. You're backed up at your 10, 11 yard line. Maybe it was inside the 10. I don't even know. And you're throwing inside screen passes.
Right. And you had one already not work. I forget if it got called back by penalty or something they had a few. You just did one too many, obviously. Right. It was read by Barrett very well.
Yeah.
And that's the clincher right there. I mean, it was over after that. But I thought a huge play was blocking the field goal.
Oh,
but then that gives you the short field, and that was only the Bears' second drive, right?
Yes.
So you had just had a touchdown drive that was scripted, that looked great,
yeah.
And now you get wonderful field position because of the blocked field goal. If you march in and score a touchdown, you're up 14-3. It's a whole different game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different game. What do? 3 and out. That drive started at the 50. First down, Wright got beat so bad.
Yep. Oh, man. I have these exact same notes.
Then you ran that jet sweep to the short side to Baylor.
Exact same notes.
So now you're in third and super long.
And then Justin Fields
holds onto the ball too long. Moore was open and was clapping. Hey,
yeah,
give me the damn ball.
Yeah. I was yelling.
What are you looking for on third down? He has to be. You have to now go into it like, I have a number one. This is what I'm saying. I'd rather you throw an interception because you were forcing it to Moore on third down than you miss him altogether.
Yeah.
And you go 3 and out. That's pivotal.
Yeah.
That changes the whole game.
Yeah.
Not to mention they then marched down. They scored a touchdown. Their big play was
bullshit.
Mike Evans.
Bullshit.
Very clear pass interference. Offensive pass interference. It's the kind where I'm like, I wish you could challenge pass interference. There are many where it's like there'd be no point in challenging.
Yes.
That's one where it was clear as day. And even the broadcast is like, oh, he pass interfered.
But we got to bring it up. It was on Tyreek Stevenson. And
he was abused today.
And he was not perfect last week either. And I know that he's a rookie. And I know we need to understand, look, we need to let him play through these things. And he's going to let up some big gains sometimes. He let up every single big play today, including, I believe, all 3 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. I'm sorry.
Definitely
2, because the other one was a run.
Okay, yeah.
So
definitely
it was the one to Evans.
Late was over him, and Brisker rotates over late, but that was a 3rd and 13.
Yeah.
You're flat-footed and get burned on a route that you have to anticipate that.
Yeah.
It was terribly played.
So, yeah, 60 plus yards. Awful run defense again during that drive. Baker Mayfield has all day. And here, again, we were hoping we'd see a little bit more out of the defensive front. The only person that I saw get pressure consistently, again, was Yannick Ngakoue. And he'd get there, but then couldn't get Baker down. But again, it's like mostly four-man fronts.
But they blitzed a couple times. I noted it early, which surprised me, but it was good to see.
Yeah.
And actually, I thought they were getting to Mayfield a little bit. I don't think they even sacked him once.
Walker had a better game this week,
yeah,
I think.
They were getting pressure. Justin Jones on a few, got some penetration. Billings, actually both weeks, I've noticed him out there as a guy that's doing what he came here to do, which is stuffing up the
he's
lanes.
Not your pass rush guy. Like even Jervon Dexter got in the backfield right away a couple times. It's just the play went away from him
where it went right by him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he could have got him, but I overall didn't have a problem with the defense because look, you said it with 2 minutes to play, or with about 2 minutes to play, you're only down 3. You had given up 20 at that point, and then the pick 6 isn't on the defense at all. So you held the team to 20 points pretty much defensively,
right, with
many key injuries to your secondary. So overall, I didn't have too much bad to say about the defense. They're not getting enough pressure, but it was a little bit better.
See, and I'm putting the pick 6 more on the stupid play call than I am on Justin Fields. Like, that's his read. He held it long enough. The defense knew exactly what was going to happen. Like, you mentioned it before we even got on the podcast. Like, it just seems like every time they're going to make either a screen, a wide receiver screen, the Velas type stuff. Like, the defense knows what's going to happen, just like we know what's going to happen.
I mean, unfortunately, you shouldn't be in this position too often, but when the Bears have a very long field, like inside their own 10 or so, inside their own 15, they become like very super conservative, which I get because you don't want to give up a pick 6. But this is where you have Justin Fields.
And you
have to understand that.
It was a game-winning drive. You needed this.
Yes. It was a game-losing drive ultimately.
Yes.
But I never felt in the Packers game like that the Bears could win. They didn't play well enough where you ever thought they could win. And it was kind of similar today, to be honest. Like, yes, had they done a miracle drive there, you could pull off a W. But you're looking at 2 losses where you weren't really ever in any sort of command. And now you're going to go face the Super Bowl champs next week on the road.
Which they haven't looked good either. But what's the spread going to be in this game? Plus 12?
Won't be that bad. If it's that bad, we could bet it. And I wouldn't feel great about it, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's plus 12.
Should we take a break and then come in a little more specifically on Justin Fields and maybe any bright spots? I mean, I can think of maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of all over the place, but
I was going to say this whole episode could be a Justin and Rob rant. That's how it felt, right?
Oh, easily. Like, I'm hurting. Like, I don't even know, like, it. I want to just yell, but like, what's the point?
I'm already getting ready to start thinking about mock off season. Bears are 0-2 and look bad. And you got Carolina's pick. So, but then again, like, what are you building? Polls said this was 70 to 80% complete.
Are you
but
building
now
it
if you're
for
moving
another
on from
quarterback?
Fields, right? They're not in
Fuck
on
that.
Fields.
You got to get rid of Matt Eberflus too. Fuck this. Let's just hit the reset button. 70-80% bullshit.
Yeah,
all right, now it's
Rob
time for a break. Now it's time for a break.
I'll bring us in. I'll calm us. We're gonna do some breathing exercises during this break. You enjoy the ads. Welcome back to the Hallis Huddle. I'm Justin Oniemi with Rob Schwarz. Episode 58. But it's also week 2 of 2 disappointing outcomes for the Chicago Bears. Please hit the like button, subscribe. If you aren't enjoying what you're seeing with the Bears, you can hopefully still at least enjoy us breaking it down. We are doing a giveaway for a Bears jersey, so all you got to do is subscribe and you could win.
Come join the laughs, because that's at this point, We can cry together. We can laugh together. What else are we going to
Whole
do?
range of emotions. I don't know, man. It's getting ugly. So the first half of the show, we pretty much just were all over the place with
Rambled.
our emotions on what happened. But here now, what we're going to do, it's going to be a steady segment throughout the year. We're going to talk about our confidence meter for Justin Fields. So you weren't here last week. I don't know if that means I should let you start, or what are you feeling, Rob?
I'll kick us off. So going into this game, my confidence level was higher than yours and Bob's. It was. From what I saw from Justin Fields, there was the misplay that everybody put all over social media where, he dumps it off. I think it was Donta Foreman or maybe Khalil Herbert, I'm blanking, to the check down, and he had DJ Moore going on a little post corner route. The play was there. He should have thrown it. I'm not going to say he shouldn't have. But at the same time, the end of the play, they get a first down. Maybe it would have been an 8-yard, 10-yard difference. In the end of it, didn't really make much of a difference. We watched the JT O'Sullivan breakdown. The play calling was abysmal. The
Offensive line
fundamentals were abysmal. Yeah, the blocking was abysmal. Like, things don't work if you're not doing your job. And if one person makes a mistake, sometimes that's okay. When everyone's making, in fact, last week I wasn't allowed to talk about this. There was a false start on the whole entire offensive line. Like, this goes to coaching. And I'm sorry. I kind of hinted at it when I was talking to Justin about this episode beforehand. After watching this game, Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy, Justin Fields is fucking broken. He's fucking broken. I don't know. I want to put it on the coaching staff. I want to put it on him. They're all to blame. All of them. I don't know what to do. Do we turn the televisions off again? Is that going to help? Because this reminds me a lot of what we saw with Nagy, what we saw with Trubisky. But I always felt like Fields had that mental capacity to get through this. And I did not get to listen to any of the press conferences before our episode tonight. So I did not heard what Eberflus said. I have not heard what Justin Fields said. But you have to, he has the mental aptitude, the confidence, the composure to not want to turn the televisions off, right? It's not that same situation. He has the athleticism. He's the best prospect that we've had in forever. And now I'm ready for Caleb Williams. My confidence level is that low. And I have always said Caleb Williams over Justin Fields if it was possible. They have 2 picks in the first round. There's a good chance both those picks could be in the top 5 at this point. It could be 1 and 2. It could be 1 and 3. Do you get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do you get your left tackle because Braxton Jones hasn't been living up to expectations?
So you said it could be 1 and 2. It could be 1 and 3. It could be 2 in the top 5. Last year, when the Bears ended up with the first round pick, because they had Justin Fields and we're still in we don't know if he's our guy, but we feel he's shown some promise. The first round pick was up for bids, and Carolina benefited from that by trading for it. From what I understand, Caleb Williams is the type of prospect that if you don't get 1, you're not trading for it. So if you get 2 and 3, I don't know that that's enough to trade up to 1.
No,
because whatever team's won, it could be Arizona. They would certainly want Caleb Williams. I mean, they got Kyler Murray under a long-term deal.
The only
they
way
would deal him
that it could be possible is if Deion Sanders' kid declares for the draft, which I'm not highly confident will happen because I think he's going to run it back with his dad. But if he continues the way he's playing, I'll tell you right now, I'm taking him over Drake May in a heartbeat. Drake May is having a horrible season, in my opinion. Way too many bad interceptions. And to draft another North Carolina quarterback, the fans are going to lose their minds. So if Sanders is declaring, then that's the only way I could see the Kyle Shanahan situation where you talk yourself into Trey Lance, right? You talk yourself into Sanders over Caleb Williams. only way I could see it happening.
I don't see it unless the Bears are the team that does it,
I
in
mean-
which case we're just doomed forever. But just the fact that this is where our conversation is going shows that the confidence meter in Justin Fields is very, very low. You and I on this show, I mean, play it back as many times as you want. This is episode 58. I started on episode 8, so that's about 50 for me. Probably 48 of those 50, we've defended Fields.
Yeah.
We've said how much confidence we do have in his potential. But
I broke down his all-22 film consistently last year, and there were so many times that he was putting the ball where it needed to be. He was making the right reads. Guys weren't making plays. So this year we talked about it. He doesn't have the excuses. He's got a wide receiver 1 and 2 good wide receiver 2s and 3s. I don't stop with the Chase Claypool shit. I know he's not perfect, but like he's at least a 2/3. He doesn't have the excuses that he had last year. They need to make a decision after this year. Are they going to give him a 5th-year option?
I'm not going to ask you all the way to go back to your memory of last year when you were breaking down all 22s. And to my knowledge, you haven't done that yet. Obviously, not for today, and you were busy last week.
No, I was bitching because I paid $300 for Xfinity and $100 for NFL Plus, and I couldn't access anything while I was in Punta Cana. Anything.
Sorry, man. I don't know. But that's not what I wanted. Another Rob's rant about to come out. No, here was what I was going to ask, though. If you recall, because I remember there were some games, I don't remember which game it was, I wish I could, where you said he rated out at an elite level. Not that he's an elite quarterback, but that he rated out that game as an elite quarterback.
I think it happened
Miami?
twice.
But where he ran for a
it
whole
was
bunch.
either
but,
Miami or might have even been Philly.
Okay. And he played well against some good teams, too, which is, again, where you see like the potential and the
Yes.
promise. But here's what I was going to ask. Do you recall, because to remind the viewers and listeners, you pretty much rated the plays as like, he did what he was supposed to, he exceeded what he was supposed to, or he messed up. And you would rate every play, regardless of the result necessarily.
Yes.
It was what his read was, those types of things.
Right.
So do you recall any plays where he like made a great throw, it was the right read, but he still was like double and triple clutching? Because now that seems to be the norm. He is constantly double clutch, triple clutch. And I don't know, even maybe like the throw to Claypool today. I think he got that out right when he should have, or slightly late.
The touchdown.
The
throw?
touchdown.
Yeah.
Like even
No,
that,
it was,
there seemed
it
like
was
a
on time.
hesitation. Okay.
I watched that play.
Okay. He didn't double tap it or anything like that.
No, I mean he might have double tapped it, but I watched and I'm like literally watching him. I'm watching his feet. I'm watching, and this is a broadcast view that I'm trying to watch here. But I every time the play goes now, I start a clock in my head, right? And I'm like, tick, 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 ball, tick, 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 ball. Like, get it out, get it out, get it out. Watched him do his back steps, his back pedal. I watched him step up into the pocket and just laser it.
Okay.
Right? There was no hesitation.
Right. And
I was like, that's how you play football. That's how you play football. And I was pumped. We didn't see it enough.
So I would hope go ahead.
Going back to your question, though, trying to remember what I saw last year, that happened a lot more often than we've seen in the first 2 games this season.
So he's in year 3 in the NFL.
Yeah.
First time in a long time, 2 years in a row in the same system.
Yes.
Now the personnel is a little different. I'll give him that. But like to me, that should be what you're seeing 60, 70% of his dropbacks is he drops back. He's already, because hopefully he's doing some pre-snap analysis of what the defense is looking like they're going to give.
Yeah.
You step in back, you're reading what they're adjusting to, and you deliver.
Yeah.
And if you don't find anyone with the athleticism you have, you escape, you make a big play with your feet, which then forces the defense to think about how they're, covering you a lot differently. Bears have like eliminated the run from his game. If you're a team that doesn't have to worry about Fields running, you now can feel pretty good about being able to defend him.
Yeah.
And we saw it in week 1 with the Packers, and I feel we saw it again this week against Tampa Bay. Hardly any designed runs, and even his scrambling has gone away.
Yeah. Because
I don't know if he's like thinking he shouldn't or thinking he can't. You can reach a point where you're doing it too much, and he had a fumble last week when he scrambled. He had 2 today. I'm trying to think. One was a bad snap.
Bad snap by Feeney when Lucas Patrick was out of the game.
Which you weren't on the show, but we were talking about, I think it was maybe the week prior. oh, Feeney, he can play guard, he can play center. I said, sounds a lot like Patrick.
What
What was the other fumble?
The other one,
strip sack?
It was basically a strip sack. It's like he can't sense the pressure, but it was not even on his blind side.
It was in front of him, wasn't it?
No, it was here. But I mean, you got to feel that. And sometimes I feel like he feels it too soon, too much, and that's when he tries to take off. And he did feel it, and he tried to step up and throw, and it was just boom out. And one of the linemen got it.
Maybe. No, Patrick, I think, covered it.
Probably, yeah, because it was towards the left side of the line. So let's put it on a scale. I'm going to put it out of 100 because I feel like 1 through 10 is just too. If we're doing a whole season, 1 through 10 is just too narrow. Going into this game, my confidence level in Justin Fields was still in the 80s.
Let's define it further, though. Confidence of what? Confidence that he's a competent quarterback that you can win with if things go right?
A franchise quarterback.
Quarterback?
A Jay Cutler.
Oh,
a guy who could still play for 10. I mean, he's the passing leader of the Chicago Bears. It's kind of hard not to consider him a franchise quarterback. He was here for, 8 years?
He led him to what? 1 playoff victory?
Sure. It wasn't a good outcome, but he's still considered a franchise quarterback, someone who was with a team long enough, played well enough.
If we're talking about his ceiling being Jay Cutler, that's already problematic, I feel.
Sure. I'm just saying,
so confidence that he's at least what Jay Cutler was.
At least somebody who could be here for 10 years. Whether that means you're Patrick Mahomes level, never going to happen. Whether that means Jared Goff level at this point.
But was the game different then in terms of the money allotted to a quarterback?
Oh, for
because
sure.
You just mentioned they have to decide soon about his 5th-year option. And if you think he's going to be here 10 years, some of those years you're going to be paying him so much that you can't put a team around him with free agents and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they got to figure out the cap, but I mean, they're doing it in Kansas City. He's making plenty of money down there.
They're gladly doing it in Kansas City because of what he is. So That's my point is you do that for Mahomes. I don't do that for Cutler.
But just the way that the NFL works,
I know
everybody ends up making more and more and more. And, look at Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones got a contract. Like, does he deserve to be paid? Like,
I don't know. And looking at the Giants so far this season, they pulled one out of their butt this week. Would they be better have served not to give him that money and swing again for the fences with another young guy?
Yes.
Go for a veteran on a shorter term deal?
Yes. So
my point is, if we're saying the confidence is he's Cutler, I'm not giving Cutler mega money to cripple the team moving forward.
Let me put it this way. 100% confident means I know he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Okay. 80% confidence means I think he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. Could sometimes be in the top 10, maybe, top 15. There you go. Perfect. Much better. I don't know if it's a better example, but equal example to me as Jay Cutler.
You were just trying to use a bear, and it's very hard to pick a bear that we've had. Okay, fair enough.
Correct.
All right.
So now,
well, you said coming into this game.
Yes.
Where were you coming into this season?
Oh, 95. I was so confident, overconfident, obviously, but I'm sure there's a lot of Bears bias in there. I wanted it to happen.
So you were 95 preseason.
Yes.
80 coming into today's game.
Yes.
Where are you at now? 10%.
I'm probably at 60. I'm probably dropping another 20%, which means I don't think he's got it anymore.
Okay, I'm not giving my numbers yet. I'm just asking you a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
I don't.
If
he'll surprise me if he proves me wrong.
Bob last week mentioned, because again, in our minds, are you going to hand this guy a bag full of money and cripple the team? Not what he's showing now.
No.
But you have to decide on his 5th-year option. Then you could franchise tag him a year or two. So the real decision of a long-term deal isn't until much later.
And I know fans are going to say this. Look, he's only in year 3.
Right.
They technically have one more year before they have to consider the 5th-year option.
Exactly.
But they need to consider it now based on the draft picks that they have because they need to figure out how they're going to invest their draft capital.
Exactly. Agreed. Okay. So you went from 95 coming into the season to 80 down to 60.
I'm going to fully admit that I'm still a Justin Fields supporter. Okay? I'm not going to be Although I'm getting close to the percentage that he got to, the Colin Coward percentages where he went from 55 to 45. I'm getting close, guys. I'm getting close. But here's the thing. We're seeing regression.
Yes.
We're not seeing progression.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I forgot my question. So my question is this. You're now at 60, which is borderline. It's time to replace him one way or another, whether that means
Tyson Bagent.
Oh, God. That's not what I meant. That's not. I am not associated to that comment right there. I meant next season, are you looking to bring in a rookie? Or if you're at 60, maybe you're looking to bring in a veteran. I mean, some guy that, I don't know, the free agent class this year or whatever it might be, but on a shorter term deal that hopefully can take over. So if you're at 60, that's in the conversation. But my question for you is, they're not quite at the point of having to decide on him for a fifth-year option. If you're wavering around 60, do you think things would look drastically different with him in a different type of system?
Yes.
And I'm not going all the way back to Dable, although you might want to go there.
Oh, I love Dable. Dable was my number one guy.
You might go there. What he could have done with Fields, would we be seeing the results we're seeing? So it's constantly this back and forth of, is the system not working? Is it Fields? Is it Fields in this system? Where are you at?
Give me Kellen Moore. Give me any offensive minded coach. I said it from the beginning. Every single defensive minded coach was below top 5 for me. I think they interviewed like 12 guys.
Isn't going that direction.
No.
So you're zagging when everyone's zigging.
Especially when you're.
But they still would have had to bring in an OC and.
Yes, but when you have a quarterback with the athleticism and the proven track record of just winning at every level until now in the NFL, give me somebody who can help mold that. I don't want this conservative. No, it's the conservatism. I'm telling you, I told you on the phone, it just seems to me like they don't want him to make the mistakes. I think it is Justin Fields thinking too much, not wanting to make the mistakes, but I think that's what he's hearing. But it's being drilled into him over and over.
The great quarterbacks, they're always out there trying to make the play.
Yes.
And mistakes come with that, but they
Brett
get
Favre.
so, I wasn't going to go there, but they make so many plays that you forgive the few that they don't make. But if you're out there trying not to make mistakes, that's
usually when you start to make mistakes.
But you're also just going to be pedestrian,
right?
Which is what he's become. He doesn't run. He gets okay numbers because his numbers. I mean, he ended up throwing. Did he throw it? Well, yeah, the pick 6. So like his numbers look a little worse in the end than they were at first. But completion percentage wise, he's up.
Yeah, today wasn't as good. 55% completion.
Is that it?
Yeah, 16 of 29.
Wow. Must have come down from
16 of 29, 211 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles.
16 for 29. Okay.
2 touchdowns, but 1 throwing, 1 rushing.
Yeah, that's not good. All right, so let me get my numbers, I guess. I've been high the whole time coming in, so I'm going back to preseason as well. I've been high the whole time.
420, guys.
95% seems a bit high. I'll probably say I was about 90%.
Okay.
Still very confident.
Yeah.
And thinking this is a guy you're going to want to give the 5th-year option to and lock up long term. Yep. And now you're pairing him with DJ Moore, who's still got years on his contract. This is looking good. Nowhere near that now. So last week was very, very bad. And it was, like I said, the blame can go everywhere.
Yeah.
But you want to think, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and someone made this comment. If you go all the way back to Mahomes Trubisky, and Mahomes' dad said that they thought he was going to be a Bear. And immediately people probably think, Bears could have had Mahomes and blah, blah. And my thought was, Mahomes probably would have sucked if he was on the Bears.
Oh, where you land is so important.
And so I'm wondering, like, because in week 1, Mahomes didn't have Kelsey.
Yeah.
He had no receivers who could catch a ball. And he looks like whatever. I mean.
And I'm not going to say he's not a Hall of Famer.
No, he is. Right? But I'm just saying, like, I'm wondering about Fields now because so much around him doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And now I've come so far down from 90%. I don't know where I'm at.
But do you reset and still keep the quarterback? Or do you reset and let your new guys bring in who they want? Or does it depend on what you get with your draft picks? I mean, I feel like we're a little bit too far ahead, right?
It's only week 2, but each week is an opportunity to move the needle.
Yeah.
And we're moving it the wrong way each week.
Yes.
And I don't think next week's going to look very good.
No.
So now all of a sudden you're saying it's just one game. It's just one game. It's just 2 games. Three games is
what did the Jaguars
the
put up
6th of the
today?
season.
7 points? 6 points?
The Jaguars?
Yeah. I think it was 21 to 6 or
9
21 to 9. Yeah. I don't even know if Lawrence threw a touchdown.
I don't think so.
Right? So,
yeah, 17-9 they lost.
And that's because you got a Super Bowl caliber defense, Super Bowl caliber team. It's not even just the defense. Like, their offense is good enough to keep you off the field. Like,
so my confidence level in Fields has fallen.
so
it's
you were
below
90?
I was at 90 coming into the season.
What about going into today?
I had come all the way down to maybe 70.
Okay. And that's where.
All right, I'll meet you at 60 then.
Okay.
I'll meet you at 60.
We just got to the same number going just different ways.
You were, because you didn't watch the game live, maybe. That's the reason.
I think that could be.
That might have been the reason, because.
But, I mean, I did watch it, though, and I think it helped because I watched it and knew certain things that were going to happen, and then I would rewatch the same plays over and over again. And there was just too many mistakes by so many people. It was hard for me to – that was not on Fields.
See, and there's still that. I mean, in this game, there's still that. And I only watched it the one time. I'm sure if I went back, I could pick out a few things. For me, it's just how indecisive he now looks.
Yes.
His feet, if his feet aren't part of this, because I never, even when he ran for over 1,000 yards, said, oh, this is a running back playing quarterback.
No.
He's not Tim Tebow.
No.
He's got an arm. He's got
not Taysom
accuracy.
Hill.
He's got all these things. But now he seems to be in his own head, missing obvious opportunities to just, there's a guy in the middle, hit him, get 10 yards, get 15, whatever it is. He's holding onto the ball way too long, which I know he has been, but it's looking worse when it should be looking better.
He's not keeping his eyes downfield a lot of times.
And then even some of the things that are happening around him that aren't good, at what point as the quarterback are you also responsible for some of those things?
I mean, he has 9 sacks already.
Like, is he not? So pre-snap, I saw a couple times today where, I don't remember, maybe it was one of the guards, like, hey, a blitzer's coming, things like that. Quarterback is part of that. Quarterback is part of calling out hots and things like that. And I know in the preseason, he signaled for something, and Scott, as a rookie, must have missed it and ran a terrible route and led to a bad play. So watching that, you might think Fields made a mistake when maybe, in fact, someone else did. But at some point, you're responsible for it all if you're the quarterback. Because you got rookie quarterbacks coming in, not looking all that bad. You got second year. You're a third year.
Yeah.
So the bar has to keep going up, and then his play is coming down. So
last year, they let up 58 sacks. 55 of those sacks. We're on Fields as in, like, he was responsible for them, but 55 were when he was playing quarterback. Right now, they're on pace for 76 sacks this year, giving up. Yeah. And they have 1 on the season on the defense.
They got none today, right?
I don't think so. Yannick got 1 if you count
1 last week. Yeah,
half and half put together.
Half sack is supposed to be when 2 guys sack a guy. His are when he basically
just like
grabs him and
like both times. Times.
Yeah, I'm down on Fields now, man. I'm down to 60%.
And he can build up our confidence again. He can. I'm not going to write him off completely. I made the joke about Tyson Bagent. That's not the case. Here's what I want. And this is not a Justin Fields connection here. I would love to be able to get inside 3 players' minds with I'm going to go in, I'm a reporter, but off the record, nothing you tell me is going to be told to anyone, not even my wife, maybe my dog. I'll tell it to my dog so I feel I can get it off my chest. DJ Moore, I want to know what his opinion is of this offense is right now.
He's frustrated.
Okay. Now, he didn't come from a great team, great franchise. So I only want to know, how does this feel compared to what you've been in the past? And is it that bad? But the other 2, Tremaine Edmonds, who came from an elite franchise right now, right? The Buffalo Bills have been in the picture for the Super Bowl year after year after year since he's been in the league. I want to hear what he has to say about this team because he's seen a winning franchise Is it the coaching? Is it that bad? Is it Justin Fields? You mean as a defender, you can still pick up on, the offense, they're not trusting him. The other one is TJ Edwards, who hasn't played great, but still came from a franchise that was in the Super Bowl last year.
So when you framed it that way, one thought just jumped into my head. And I already know what naysayers are going to say about this, but Justin Fields was named a top 100 player coming into the season. That's voted on by players. So I don't know if players are just looking at box scores and voting. I would imagine it's from them knowing work ethic, knowing a little, they know the game at a much higher level. And so when your peers and colleagues say, that dude's got it, why are we not seeing it?
It's coaching.
Yeah. Well, oh man, there was another thought.
You want to know my confidence level in the coaching?
So
30%, and that is a high number right now.
Here's the question, and I think we need to wrap this episode up.
Yeah, we do.
But here's the question, though.
I could go on all night.
How high would your confidence in Fields have to go, where if you ended up with the number 1 pick, you wouldn't take Caleb Williams? Because here's the thing. The Bears are in a unique situation.
100%.
He'd have to be proven to you he's a
franchise
quarterback,
keeping him
lead the team to the playoffs.
Not keeping him over Caleb Williams.
But this is the thing. The Bears are in a unique situation. Just like, let's look at Detroit or Philly last year, who both were, Philly went all the way to the Super Bowl. And Detroit, as you mentioned, had a really strong finish to their season, almost made the playoffs, yet they had 2 first-round picks. Yeah. So my point is, let's say, starting next week, Fields he just wows us game after game, week after week, and ends up with a great season. Bears either make the playoffs or are right there. But Carolina is horrible, and you end up with the number 1 pick. So my question is, how good would Fields have to be where you have the number 1 pick and you don't use it on Caleb Williams?
You're trading that again.
If he does what?
If he does what you said, if he comes in starting next week against Kansas City and he's putting up 240, 250 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns a week, no more than 1 interception per game, and the offense is generating points, whether they're winning or not, but the offense is generating points, 24, 30 points.
Is it just the stats or is it the way it looks?
It's got to be the way it looks. I have to feel it. There's got to be an eye test, a field test. If I'm seeing it, which I don't have confidence I'm going to see it, but if I'm seeing that, I'm going to get close to 100% where I'm at. And then I'm going to be like, okay, Caleb Williams is a great prospect, but we trade that down, maybe 2, maybe 3. You're going to get a top left tackle.
Right.
Or you're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right. And Fields has shown you what you did, and your pick, whether that's 20, whether that's 23.
Your pick could be another offensive lineman.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Edge rusher.
Edge. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I like what you said about the eye test and the field test.
Way too soon.
Yes.
But we're getting to that point where it's like,
I haven't won since last October.
It's so bad.
I don't like to look at his record, but pretty soon
5-22.
You have to start looking at it.
Yeah.
Because he came in as a rookie, thrown into a bad situation. Last year, team was better, but not great, and you trade away some of your best players and are obviously tanking.
Yep.
But now you have a last place schedule, and you're supposed to be definitely on an upward trajectory, considering you had 3 wins the whole year.
Yeah.
And here we are. Haven't won in damn near a calendar year. So it's going to have to start looking very different very quickly.
If you want the Bears to win, hit the subscribe button because that's going to guarantee it happens at some point in the future. I just don't know when.
Yeah. Wow. Bold prediction. Bears are not going to go 0-17, and it's because you subscribed.
That's right.
I like it.
Hit the subscribe button. Leave comments, guys. I know I was in Punta Cana, so I wasn't up on the comments as quickly as I normally am, or even at all. I think I missed some. I'll try to get back to them at this point. But leave comments. That definitely helps with our podcast showing up for other people, which is going to help get us to that 750 mark, which is going to help us give away that jersey. Hit the like button. I don't care if you didn't like what you saw from the Bears. I guarantee you had to have liked what you heard from us because we're on top of this stuff. And like I said, we're going to be here all year, laughing, crying, whatever emotions come out.
I mean, it's just the 2 of us. We lost our super huddlers.
Yeah. Next week.
I mean, if they come out, Fields looks great and they beat Kansas City
next week,
I think those guys will tune. They'll probably want to come
They
back.
will probably show up, but on top of that, like everything I just said might just go out completely out the window. I'm just joking.
It's a roller coaster type of
It
league.
is. It
So
is.
hopefully the Bears surprise us, but right now 0-2, not looking very good. And
Hell is huddled though, 2-0.
2-0, undefeated.
Yeah. Bear down.
Bear down.